Okay, so we are back, and now we're going to proceed to the next few steps in our tutorials for SPSS and the AMOS, and we're now focusing on moderators, mediators, and control. So we did a little bit of control back when we did SPSS, but I didn't show you how to do it in AMOS. So we will be showing that in the next few videos that we're going to show here. But for today, we will be focusing on moderating effects and mediating effects through SPSS. So we're going to see here that the one I'm showing to you right now, the trust in e-government is a hypothesized to be a moderator between these three quality dimensions, okay, quality dimensions, and the other two uh, perceptions of usefulness and user satisfaction that you've seen here. So this we're going to use this as the part for our moderating effects, and then this part here on perceived usefulness, user satisfaction, and perceived benefits, we'll be using this to demonstrate how to do mediation. So let's get to it. So we'll be again going back to our SPSS file here. Now, recalling the last time we showed you how to calculate the mean scores for each of the variables that we will be using for the regression that we did last time. So we will be focusing our attention here again now that we are going out to moderation and mediation. But before before actually going to the actual analysis of it, we need to do something else first. We need to have another. I need to have another set of variables that we need to calculate or transform in this manner so that we can proceed with the moderating effect. Now, let me go back to the model here. The way it's gonna look is that we're going to combine, let's say, for example, information quality and trust in e-government towards perceived usefulness, system quality and trust in e-government towards perceived usefulness, and then service quality, and then combine it again with trust in e-government, and then we're gonna regress that with perceived usefulness. It's gonna be the same for user satisfaction. So first step is, again, we're gonna look at these two, information quality and trust in e-government. So the way we're going to do that is when we go to our SPSS file, we click on transform. We're gonna do compute variable again, and and we're going to focus our attention on these. Okay. These were the mean scores that we had back when we were doing the regression, and also in correlation matrix. So we will be focusing our attention here again. So for the moderating effect here, we're going to type something like sysqual, right? And then times trust. Egov, something like that. This will be our this will reflect the moderating effect, the variable here. So the way to do that is we're going to let system quality and then multiply that to trust government. So that's going to be the numeric expression here. And then when we click OK, it will execute it once more, and then when we go to the back to our SPS file at the very end of it, we're going to see this. Okay, so this is a confirmation that we did generate the moderating variable. So let me do the same for the other two. So we're going to do the same for both information quality and service quality here. So yeah, so we're just going to reset here, and then we're going to go for info qual. Again, the labeling of the variable is up to you. It's up to you how you want to do it. So just to be on the consistent side, so trust ecov, and then we're going to use this time information quality, multiply that to trust in e-government. Okay, and then we're going to do the same thing now for the last one on service quality. So serve qual times trust e-gov. When you go down to service quality led by trust in e-gov. So save. So when we look at it, we're going to see now these three new columns that we're seeing right now here at the end of our SPSS file. This will serve now as our moderators. And at this point, we will be running. We will be running linear regression again to test for moderating effects of trust towards those three quality dimensions. So let's start with Okay, let's start with system quality. So let's say we're gonna look at, like I said a while ago, we're gonna look at perceived usefulness. So that goes to our dependent variable, we've demonstrated before in our tutorial on regression. So and then afterwards, we're going to look at information quality, trust in e-government, and then the yeah. Okay, all right. Let's do information quality first, and then information quality and trust in e-government. Now, so what we're doing here is we're actually testing three. So we know already that information quality is a direct effect, as we did before, but we're also going to test trust in e-government as a direct effect here, and then the moderator of info quality and trust in e-government. So we're testing both the direct effects and then as a moderator. And then, as always, we're going to look into this. So yeah, we're gonna see that we don't need anything. So afterwards, we're using enter method. That's why I did not change anything in the statistic. I did not click on R square change. Like I said, it doesn't matter if you're using enter method. So and then we're gonna click OK, and you see that we have now our results. So for information quality, trust e-government, information quality, and trust in e-government, these are all the dependent variables there. So we can see an R squared and an adjusted R squared here, 0.71. Again, the threshold is 0.1. We have an F value here, significant, greater than 4, and significance value is less than 0.05. But of course, what is important for us is this, the coefficients table. This would tell us how are we going to interpret the moderator of info quality and trust in e-government. So we can see that as before, information quality has a high beta. It has a high beta. It has a significant t-value, and of course a low significance. That means, of course, that the whole thing is significant. But we're also looking to trust in e-government here. So it's significant as well. But look at the moderator. It has a negative beta, so that already tells us something, and it is significant. So and see that here it's still significant at a lesser degree. So the way you're going to interpret this is that you can see that that the information quality and times trust e-government is a negative moderator towards this relationship. There's actually a way to confirm this. If we just run if we run the regression and then take these two out, if we run information quality alone, you'll see here that information quality here is at 0.826. That's the beta. And then it's very significant and all. But when we introduce the moderator here of info quality trust in e-government, it drops. Like it's from 0.826 and 34 t-value, we're now down to 0.744, and a t-value is less significant. The moderator here, it's a negative moderator, so that means the relationship between information quality and perceived usefulness drops whenever we introduce trust in e-government as a moderator. So that's how you interpret. So it just says to you that trust in e-government is a negative moderator towards the relationship between information quality and perceived usefulness. So this is very strong by itself, but once you introduce trust in e-government as a moderator, then this relationship actually weakens. So that's how you can interpret it. So let's try so that we can be also clear with the others. So let's try now for okay, okay, so I'm just going to click reset here, and then we're going to go for, again, same perceived usefulness as the dependent variable, but we'll be using now system quality as the independent variable. And then we're going to use system quality to trust the e-government as the moderator here. So let's try it in a different way. So let's say for example, I want to do it using the block method that I've shown you the last time. So we're going to put system quality in the first block. We're going to put trust in e-government in the second block, and then we're going to put system quality and trust in e-government in the third block. We're still going to be using enter method here, but instead I'm going to do r squared change. And then Durbin Watson here. And then let's see what's going to happen if we do that. So as we've demonstrated before, when we use the block method, we will be generating multiple models here that depends on the number of blocks you actually create. Again, using the enter method here, so we can see here that the r square has changed a little bit. Okay, so from 0.77 in model 1, we got all the way up to 0.789 at model 3. Okay, so when we go down, again, this is the important part. Now this actually has a little bit of more comparison that we're seeing here. Now the way to interpret this one as well will be like, okay, system quality trust in e-government is a negative moderator as well, as we can see here. Okay, as you can see, but you notice that system quality 0.877 here, and then when we introduce all three, it actually went up to 0.889. Now this actually doesn't matter too much, but what do matters is the level of significance it also has, because like you notice it drops again, like we have a t-value here of 42, but then when we introduce system quality and trust, we see here that it drops to 14, okay, to 14. So it still is a negative moderator in this sense, okay, because it's trying to reduce the significance of the influence of system quality. You also kind of notice as well that when we introduce trust as a direct effect here, it significantly drops here as well. Like you notice, from 0.87, the beta drops to 0.770 here. So it's already, in a way, you can actually see that this is an indication that trust in e-government might be a negative moderator, even before you actually go and do it the way we did it here. So this is another indication of it. So in the same way that as we interpreted the one for information quality and trust in e-government, we can also say here that trust in e-government is a negative moderator, significant. A negatively significant moderator towards the relationship between system quality and perceived usefulness. Okay, so let's try the third one. So we go to linear, okay, reset again, and then we're gonna go again. So perceived usefulness, we'll come here. We're going to use the service quality here, but I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm gonna use stepwise here. It really doesn't matter. What's also important here before I continue is that when you do test for moderating effects, when you do it for moderating effect, especially if you're gonna do it multiple times, like what this model is telling you, like there's like 6 hypothesized moderating effects here, so you have to do this like 6 times. What is important though is that you use a consistent regression method. If you've used enter in the first one, then you have to use enter method all throughout. If you use stepwise, then use stepwise all throughout. If you use the block method, then use the block method all throughout. I'm showing you just the different alternatives here, so it doesn't necessarily follow that you can do all of you can do multiple linear regression methods, stepwise enter block, with multiple attempts on, or multiple applications of a moderate testing for moderating effects. You have to use just one method, just for the sake of consistency here. So okay, so with that out of the way, I'm going to put the rest here, trust, and then the last one on serve qual, trust in e-government, and then we click OK. See, okay, we now also have here your model summary. Okay, again, R squared, adjusted R squared has to be minimal zero point 0.1. We're at 0.75, so we're good. And so also what's more important is when you look at here, when you look at this model here. So you can see here that here the standardized beta coefficients as well. So consistently, trust in e-government is known for to be like a negative moderator, in the sense here. So we can actually see that yes, it's that trust in e-government is a negative moderator towards the relationship between service quality and perceived usefulness. So that's the important part. Now normally what I do is that, and you can also run everything the same time, like for direct effects and moderating effects. So you can actually do all of that at the same time. So yeah, but normally when I do it, I just like try to run everything first, like everything first as far as direct effects are concerned, and then I jot all the numbers down, and then afterwards that's the time I test for moderating effects here. All right. So yeah. So all you need to do is do the same thing again, but the only thing that you're gonna change now is for user satisfaction. So just do the same thing. It's information quality, and then trust in e-government, and then information quality times trust in e-government, but this time towards user satisfaction. So yeah, and then you do the same thing for system quality and service quality towards user satisfaction, and you pretty much get your results, as stated there. Okay, so pretty much that's it for moderating effects. Now we're gonna proceed now to how to test for mediating effects as far as SPSS is concerned. Now, just a simple note, what the method I'm going to show you right now when it comes to measuring mediating effects or evaluating mediating effects or using SPSS is using linear regression. Now, it's not really gonna tell you if there is like if it's like a partial mediation or a full mediation or no mediation at all, and then tell you the numbers of it. It's just going to give you some indication that it is there are mediating effects. So this is just like telling you like there might be some mediating effects. It's not really gonna tell you if there is or is not a mediating effect. So with that disclaimer, let's proceed. So let's review first. We're going to test for mediating effects here for perceived usefulness, user satisfaction, and perceived benefits. Now notice here that user satisfaction is implied to be a mediator between perceived usefulness and perceived benefits. It's like there's an arrow going here and then goes there and then this will go there. So the one between here is is implied to be like a mediating variable. So we're going to hypothesize that user satisfaction exerts a mediating effect between perceived usefulness and perceived benefits. Now, the first thing you want to do is that you want to reconfirm first that there is some correlation between the three. So again, we're going to do that. So analyze, correlate, and bivariate. So that's the first step. The first condition you want to satisfy if there is a mediating effect is that when you test for the mediating effects of for the variables concerned, there must be some correlation there. So as you can see here, all three variables that are included in this test for mediation are correlated, significantly correlated. That's what you want. That's the first step. You don't need to report this. It's just like more like just testing whether or not it actually makes sense to say that there might be a mediating effect here. So that being done, we can actually now proceed to do the mediating effect. So again, that would be perceived usefulness, perceived benefits first, and then perceived usefulness, user satisfaction, perceived benefits. So there's actually a couple of ways to do this. First up is that we need to test perceived usefulness to perceived benefits. So let's do that. So we're regression, linear. Let me just reset this. So that's perceived benefits going to your dependent variable, and then we're going to use perceived usefulness as the independent variable here. So again, every time you click reset, the whole thing, the whole commands that you've set when you click on these buttons totally disappear. So you have, in this case, I want to do it again. So okay, probably just fine, right? So we can check on that first. So that's the first stage. So again, r squared, just an r square. Okay. And then this is what we're going to look at: perceived usefulness to perceived benefits. The thing is that we actually need to test this anyway, because in the model we need to test this anyway. So it's actually sometimes like a 2-for-1 deal when you do your analysis this way. It saves you a little bit of time for you to do that. So we see now that the perceived usefulness, perceived benefits, there is some there is a significant influence on that. So as a direct effect, there is some effect. So let's now try to see what happens when we introduce uh, user satisfaction to the model. So again, regression, linear, and then we add user satisfaction to this one. Now, if you notice, I'm actually doing it. Yeah, I'm actually doing step by step, so just to show you how the difference of it. But later on, I'm gonna show you another way to do it using the block method, so it'll be a little bit faster for you as well. So okay, because like it's better than just scrolling up and down here, as you notice. So first of all, the r squared. Okay, r squared increases. Now we're now at 0.83. What we do want to see is this one, the coefficients here. So perceived usefulness and user satisfaction. Now notice the difference between perceived usefulness here now that we introduce user satisfaction as opposed to the one that we had earlier. So we were at 0.884 and then like 43 t values 43. And when we go down here, we're at 0.44. That's a significant drop. Yeah, that's it. So it might, this can already tell you that user satisfaction might be a mediator between the two. Okay, between perceived usefulness and perceived benefits. So yeah, so that's the other. Now, if you want to confirm this further, what we want to do is to take another linear regression model, and this time we will be replacing user satisfaction as the dependent variable and perceived usefulness. So I'm going to take that one out, I'm going to take this one out, and I'm going to user satisfaction perceived usefulness, especially as indicated here. So we're going to test this relationship as well. Okay. So when you click on that, okay, all right, we got a good R squared, it's pretty high. Perceived usefulness to user satisfaction is also pretty high. So you can see that there's also like big significance as far as perceived usefulness to user satisfaction is concerned. So yeah, so what we're seeing here is that when in the introduction of the user satisfaction here, we can see that there is a drop. Okay, there is a drop here. Now, this might tell you that there is some form of mediation that's going on. Now, like I said in the beginning, there's no like hard way of doing this. It's really just an indication of it. But there are some rules that we can follow, or some rules of thumb that we can follow in order to say whether this is a partial or full mediation. Now, you notice that there's a drop from this to this. If it was from 0.84 to 0.44, but it was still significant. The significance level, it's still like t-value is still high, significance level is still below 0.001. So this can mean that there is partial mediation that's going on. Now, if it so happened that if the introduction of user satisfaction makes perceived usefulness not significant at all, like meaning the beta drops so much and then the t-value drops below 1.96 and then significance value increases to above 0.05, then that would mean that there is full mediation here. So that's what the mediator is all about. So within the same dependent variable, the introduction of this, especially when you regress it this way here, it will show you significant changes in the beta, t-value, and significance. Now, just to show you a different method for easier reference to it, what we can do is that we can actually use the block method for us to make it seem a little easier for us to do so. So let me click reset here. So what we will do is that we look at perceived benefits as the dependent variable, and then we will be using perceived usefulness in block 1 and user satisfaction in the other. And then we'll look at statistics. Square change is fine. I think that's the only thing that's really relevant here. So when we click on that, okay, now we can see here significance, again, the R squared. So here it's easier to compare. So you can see here from 0.884, beta drops down to 0.44. From 43 t-value, we're now down to 11. But it's still significant. So this indicates to us that there is a possibility that there's partial mediation as far as user satisfaction is concerned. Now, again, I want to emphasize that when you do report or interpret mediating effects on SPSS, what you do report are the changes in the betas here, when you describe the betas here, and of course the other one, like the one from perceived usefulness, the independent variable, to the mediator, to the supposed mediator. So these are the three numbers here. So this is another thing. Another consideration when it comes to mediation is that the coefficient from the independent variable to the mediator has to be significant. If this is not significant, then you can automatically interpret that as no mediation at all. So let me recap. For you to interpret mediation, first of all, there must be some correlation. Okay? There must be some significant correlation amongst the variables that you are considering for mediating effects. And then secondly, when you run the regression between the independent variable and the mediator, it has to be significant. It has to be significant. That's the second step. And then the third step is that there are significant changes. Okay? There are significant changes in the betas, in the t-values, and significance values for you to do so. Now, as to saying whether there's partial mediation or full mediation, at least as eyeballing the numbers are concerned, that if the influence of the independent variable upon the introduction of the mediating variable drops to a level that it's not significant anymore, then you can say that there is full mediation. Otherwise, there's a drop, but the t-value and the significance value tell you that despite the drop, the independent variable is still significant, then that means you have partial mediation. All right, so yeah, so it's a little bit confusing, but once you do get the hang of it, it's easier to interpret these numbers here. So yeah, all right. Okay, so at this point, I will be ending the video here. It's pretty short. I will be showing to you another method on how to do moderation and mediation and controls using AMOS. So I'll see you then.